Police of Reddit, who was the worst criminal you've ever had to detain? What did they do? How did you feel once they'd been arrested? Story 1. I was helping with an arrest as part of a community service thing. Helping comfort to the children of monsters. We responded to a house where both parents were dead. The parents were horrible drug addicts. The father came home drunk and tried to rape the mother. The mother was either in a drug coma or dead. The father, obviously getting no action from the probably dead woman, tried to go for the child, ate, instead. The neighbor responded to said child screaming, broke down the door. The neighbor, seeing the father already in the act and this girl basically lifeless, shot and killed the father. No charges were raised against the man and is basically a hero now. The girl lived thankfully, and while I haven't seen her in years, she is almost certainly in a better place than that hell. I realize the person actually detained here W as a hero, but I thought the story should be told anyway. Seeing the soulless eyes of that poor girl has never stopped haunting me. Story 2. Worst. Depends on your definition. The one that pushed me as close to crossing a line? Child abuser. His wife caught him with their 13-year-old daughter. She went ballistic and started beating him with a cast iron skillet. He was still confused why we took the cuffs off of her and put him in cuffs. He had the audacity to ask, since when is it a crime to enjoy some sweet virgin pussy? How did I feel once he'd been arrested? Hollow. I knew that even if he was found guilty, there was no punishment that is allowable in civilized society that would be fitting of his crime. Every cop wanted a reason, but the bastard fucking complied with every order and the arrest was uneventful. According to the cop that transported him, he kept trying to justify his actions and make logical arguments to support it. Absolutely vile.
Story 3. I attempted to pull over a DUI that almost struck me head on. The driver parked his car in a parking lot and got out and started to walk away. After I gave commands, he ran. We ended up in a swamp. He had about 100 more pounds on me, and as we fought, he was able to overpower me at one point. He charged me, and we fell in the water. He was able to get on top, put his hand on my throat, and tried to push my head under the water. I was able to get out of his grasp, and he tried to run again. After 7 minutes of hell, I was able to get him restrained enough to wait for backup. He had a fake ID on him. Another officer recognized him, and we found out he had 18 outstanding warrants from multiple jurisdictions and wanted in questioning for multiple other shootings. I was lucky he let his firearm in his car. Otherwise, I have no doubt he'd have tried to use it. He only served about 6 years and is now out and free. Story 4. Long story. Former hospital peace officer, not police, but I think it's a toss-up between two cases that will both stick with me forever. One was while I was working in a secure forensic psychiatric hospital. We had a patient come in for an assessment after being charged with murder. He had been in some kind of crisis, and a nurse friend of his, who had recently lost her own husband to suicide, took him in for the night, intending to take him to the hospital in the morning. He had also talked to a mental health crisis team, who thought he might be suicidal, but wasn't at the point where an involuntary mental health apprehension was needed since he had a safety plan to stay with a friend. In the middle of the night, he took a pair of scissors and stabbed his friend's 7-year-old daughter to death in her bed. Her mother came in during the attack and tried to stop him, but couldn't. He was taken to the jail, where he tried to attack the nurses and any female staff who came near him. He came to us and continued the same behavior, either attacking any female staff he saw or attempting to self-harm, and had to be repeatedly restrained. Eventually, it got to the point that he was continuously restrained in 4-point Pinnell restraints, with a continuous one-on-one peace officer watch on him since he was too high risk for any of the healthcare or security guard patient watches. Because he was in them so long, we had to periodically remove one restraint at a time to move his limbs around to prevent him from getting rhabdo. Even with multiple staff removing one limb at a time, he still managed to kick people. In the meantime, he just lay there chanting and asking Satan, "What do you want me to do?" for hours on end. I think there may have been something else going on, but ultimately he was found criminally responsible for second-degree murder because his voluntary cannabis use was believed to have been the trigger for a psychotic state. The second was while I was working at a busy inner-city trauma center. It was nighttime and we found a man overdosing in a parking lot near the emergency room and the women's health maternity building. We probably saved his life by administering Narcan, putting him in a wheelchair and rushing him into the ER. As my teammates were wheeling him inside, my partner and I looked into the duffel bag that we had found next to him, trying to find some ID. We did, and I later found out that the OD victim had recently gotten out of prison for a horrifyingly violent kidnapping and rape of a teenage runaway. In the same bag, we also found OC spray, a baton, break-in tools, handcuffs, and shackles. I've had other OD victims cuss me out when they wake up after being Narcaned, but that was the only time part of me wanted to take it back.